Welcome to the Excel Pod. Welcome to Season 4 of the UNTIED Podcast, where we unravel the knots of life with faith, wisdom, and encouragement, because together we're here to untie from tradition and embrace truth through powerful Bible teaching. My name is Garrett Bernethi. I'm one of the hosts of this show, and I'm here with my very good friend Corey Sawyers, and we are here bringing you Season 4 of the Untied Podcast. We're glad to be back. We're glad that you are with us today as we start this brand new season. We've got a lot to discuss this season. We got a lot that we're going to discuss today, kind of recapping some things, introducing you to our new study for this spring into the summer, and just a lot of cool stuff to talk about and discuss and let you know what's going on. There's a lot of cool stuff happening. A lot of things that are behind the scenes with Excel Still More. We want to share some of that stuff with you. But overall, man, we're glad to be back with you. It's been a pretty good break, Corey. So yeah. we've been doing a lot of other things, and then finally we're able to get back in the groove of this. And so I'm excited to be back. So, Corey, how are you doing, brother?
I'm good. It's been a long break, but we've gotten to see each other a few times, even though the audience hasn't. So, yeah, I've been thankful for those opportunities for sure.
Yeah. This past weekend, we got to see each other at the Momentum Men's Conference in Oklahoma City. Really want to encourage you men out there, if you have never been to a men's conference, if you're around the Oklahoma City area or Oklahoma in general, every year in March, there's the Momentum Men's Conference. It's at the Southwest Church of Christ in Oklahoma City. Corey and I were very blessed to be there together. We got to hang out and eat lunch. Unfortunately, I didn't get to go to your class. I really wish I could have done that. But we had Mike Vestal, who was the keynote, and Nate Miller, who is out at the Highland Church of Christ east of Oklahoma City, was there speaking. And I really wanted to go to his class too. Nate is one of our fellow podcasters on the Excel Pod Network. He is on the Thinking Kingdom podcast, does a great job, him and Austin McRickard. So, man, it was a great weekend, and I was so glad to see you. And, of course, we got to see each other at Affirming the Faith as well. Or, no, not at Affirming the Faith this year, but last year. Yeah. So
we saw each other at the workshop right after we finished up Season 3. But yeah. But yeah, my first breakout session, I told all the guys in there, I said I was hoping nobody show up so I could go to Garrett or Nate's class. So,
well,
they kind of forced them in there.
How we all felt.
Yeah.
Well, I thought it was funny. You and I were talking about this earlier. Corey asked me about a week before. He said, I'm going to be flying in and I need some tools. And so he asked me to bring some measuring tools. His lesson was over measurements and things and kind of an application type of thing. And so he said, hey, can you bring some tape measures and all that kind of stuff? And I said, yeah. And so right before I was leaving, which you're lucky that I got them there, because Saturday morning is when I remembered. And I ran in there and I grabbed all that stuff. And then my wife's pink measuring tape was out on the desk. And I thought, I think Corey needs that. And so I think you were able to use that.
Yeah, so that was the first one I would show. I told everyone that Garrett brought me some visual aids, and I asked him to bring a bunch of measuring. The whole thing was measuring what matters was the theme of the whole day, and my lesson was passing the tape, talking about fatherhood and mentorship and discipleship and that kind of thing. And so I said, the first thing that Garrett pulls out of his truck is this pink thing, and everybody just laughs, and I just throw it over my shoulder and say, well, we're not using that. They all laugh. So anyway, but it was a good day.
Yeah.
John
very
and Parker, John, Arvin and Parker LaGrange are the two ministers over there at Southwest, and they're two of the finest men of God I know, and they're doing a good work over there. And that's just one of many things that they're doing that's really good. So love and appreciate them, and thankful to get to be a part of Momentum this year.
Yeah. John and Parker did a great job, and love those guys. Really appreciate them, and grateful for that event. So, but speaking of events, we've got a few events that we're thinking about. Nothing ready to announce yet, but some things thinking about. But I will say that we are in the process of finalizing the dates for the 2027 Excel Still More Bible Workshop. And so we'll be posting those very quickly. That should be the last week in January of 2027. And I believe it's the 27th through the 30th, I believe. And so we'll be putting that out there very quickly. And we are going to be studying the book of Ephesians. And so really excited about that. And very excited that Corey, you are now going to be, for this next year, going to be part of the book. And we're all in the middle of writing. And so excited about that. It's going to be a great workshop next year. And so make sure and mark your calendars for that and join us at the Okana Resort in Oklahoma City for a study of Ephesians. We are working on all of our speakers right now and the schedule. We've got some new things we're going to incorporate. So I'm excited about that. A little bit different schedule where we can do some different things each day. So it's going to be a great year. So make sure and mark that on your calendars and come join us in Oklahoma City at the Okana Resort.
Yep. So, and if you're near one of my former English teachers, you might want to check on them if they just heard that I'm going to be co-authoring a book, because they're probably passed out on the floor right now. So,
well, they can take a deep breath because we are going to run it through Grammarly.
Of a necessity.
Of a necessity. So everything I do goes through Grammarly, and that's because I'm not very Grammarly.
Yeah, you don't have to run mine through Southernly. It's already passed the test.
Southernly is a natural system that it comes out of.
Very fluent. Yeah, very fluent.
Grammarly destroys that and makes it where it's actual language.
Yeah.
Oh man! Although sometimes it corrects something, and I'm like, that doesn't even make sense. But maybe it really does make sense, and I'm just too dumb to know it makes sense.
It makes sense in England, not here. You know.
Yeah. The y'alls and the yont-tos and all that kind of stuff. And, the word mayonnaise, that can be used in a few different ways. You remember the old...
Go ahead.
Well, you remember the old Jeff Foxworthy? He would have all the different words that could be used. Mayonnaise. Some old man sitting on the porch and he's like, mayonnaise, a lot of things going on today.
That's right. And even like little things like, we always joke about the need for a Southern translation of the Bible, because I tell them, like when I was out in Denver, I'd be teaching a Bible class or whatever, and I'd tell them, I'd say, here you don't know whether he's talking to one person or a bunch of people. If this was a Southern translation, you'd know, because you singular, y'all is
That's right.
Two or more. All y'all is a whole bunch of people, and so anyway.
Well, most people are confused about what a couple means and what a few means. So, that might clear it up, I think.
Oh, yeah.
Clarity. That's what this is all about.
Yeah. But it's already got some things right, like supper and, breeches, and there's already some help in there for people
some
in
Southern
the Bible. But
style things in there.
That's right.
Supper is what it's called.
Yep.
You have breakfast, dinner, and supper.
Yeah.
But not everybody's on board with that. I don't get it.
Yep. Narrow is the way, and few there be that find.
That's right. That's right. Well, on another note, we talk about our podcast. We're talking about Excel still more, and you want to give you a few things that are going on with it. And of course, as if you have been tuning in and listening with us since we began, this is the OG podcast. This is the original. This is the original Excel Still More podcast that was first on the list, and so things have just been growing from there. And so we've actually added a couple of podcasts, I believe, since the end of season 3. We added the Wednesday podcast with Matt and Heather Jones. It's a very positive podcast. It's a very family-oriented podcast, a very spiritual podcast, a lot of fun. And I find myself whenever I turn it on, and of course I upload those as well, but whenever I turn that on, just the music as it starts is just, it kind of is upbeat. And so I really enjoy listening to those two. They're doing a great job, great work. And of course, a huge congratulations to them as they have a new addition to their family. So very happy for them, and great addition to the Excel Pod Network. And of course, we have the Thinking Kingdom podcast. They've come out with a new season. They've got a lot of stuff they're discussing. That's again with Austin McCrickard and Nate Miller. We've got the Road Trips podcast with Tyler and Zachary Wall. They're doing a great job. In fact, I'm fixing to upload today their next episode to I believe it's season 8. And then I added a new podcast that I started at the beginning of this year called Excel and Reflect. And it is a weekly devotional podcast, really diving into spiritual thoughts, things to think about. It really derives off the idea of Psalm 1 and verse 2, meditating on his law day and night. We really want to think about and meditate on the things that we discuss. And there's a PDF that comes out with that as well. And so been really excited about that and how that podcast is growing. We've got, of course, Scripture Spotlight, which we're looking forward to when that picks back up and is rolling, just throwing that in there. And but you guys have been in the Gospel of Mark, and if you haven't checked out that podcast, there's 3 seasons and been really, really good stuff. So if you have not checked that out, start from the beginning and just go through the study with them. That's Corey and Garrett. Sawyers do a great job. And then, man, I'm trying to go through and remember all our podcasts. Who am I forgetting here? We've got, I'm going to have to look at my deal, but.
Well, we've got one coming up, but I don't know if you can announce it yet.
Not yet. We have talked several times, and I don't want to move forward and make a big proclamation before I've got the blessing to do so. But
now, see, the audience thinks right now that I did that on purpose just to tease but I'm not. I just really had people that know me will know I have no idea what I'm doing, so they won't be surprised that I had no idea what I was asking. But
I think you really do know what you're doing, and you're just trying to fool everybody into thinking you don't. But no,
we'll have Melody as a special guest host one day, and she can assure you that I have no idea what I'm doing.
That might be our top-rated episode we've ever done.
Ever.
If we have Melody on there with us. For those of you who don't know, Melody is Corey's very sweet wife. Wonderful, wonderful, blessed woman to put up with Corey on the everyday life spectrum. But that would be really, really funny if she was on here. You would get away with nothing.
No.
At all.
No.
That would be really great. Anyway, but we're never bringing my wife on because that wouldn't be fair. But yeah, there is. Anyway. We do have an addition that we're looking forward to making here soon. And so as soon as all of that is finalized and everything, then we will make that known. So that'll be really, really excellent. So the podcasting network is growing, and we are really excited about that, where it's heading, what it's doing. And if you haven't checked out our network, make sure to just go to our website, click on the Excel Pod, and you'll see the network there. You can click on each podcast and go straight to their website. And once you go to their website, you can, each podcast website, you can pick from any of the podcasts that are episodes that are there. And we're putting if there's videos with those, they're right there along with the audio version of the episode. So you can check everything out there. Really excited about how that is growing. Again, we've got 6 excellent podcasts. I'm very happy that they are all part of the network, and really grateful for them. And alongside that, we are fixing to roll out the 2026 Excel Store Bible Workshop on Excel TV. And so we should be throwing that up on there before too long. You can see all of Corey's lessons, mine, Dan Owens, Denny Petrillo, everybody, Keith Harris, Rick Brumbach, who did an excellent job as well. So really excited about that coming. Lori Boyd was with us this year, had a whole set of lessons. So we're going to be throwing those on Excel TV. You should be able to see those. And we got a lot of conversation going on about Excel TV and what we're going to do with it. We have a lot of plans for it, but we really want to make this available to everyone as best we can. So if you have any interest in seeing any of that, taking part, you can go to the website, of course, as well, and hop on Excel TV and subscribe to that and check out all the good stuff there. And we also throw a few things on YouTube, so you can go to our YouTube channel and see several things there too, including free episodes for the Roundtable, all 3 seasons, and workshops and things of that nature. So make sure and check that out. So probably the biggest or newest news would be our brand new magazine. We have 2 magazines right now. One is comes out twice a year. It's called The Accelerator, and really highlights the work that's going on. There's articles in there from what have been published through our publications. We have different information about the upcoming workshop, the different things that we're putting out. Really been very successful with that magazine. And it's free. Whenever a new one comes out, we throw it out there on social media. We put it out. You can check it out. But our brand new magazine is off of our new women's ministry initiative, which is called Excel Her. And that's the overall women's ministry. And the new magazine that has come out is called Grow and Glorify. And so you can, all you ladies who are tuning in, or guys, if you would like to tell your wives about this, we have come out. The very first issue came out in March. So this month it came out, and it has been it's over the Gospel of John, and it has really, really done well. Subscriptions have been coming in. It's currently an online magazine, and just really, really great stuff. We've got 9 or 10 ladies on this team that has been working on this. Christy Huntsman is our head editor. McKenna Putnam is our lead designer. And we've got a lot of great ladies on this team that are doing a great job. Susan Langford, Carla Moore, my wife, Kristen Bernithi. Let's see who else is on there. We've got Amanda LaGrange. We just added her to the team. Katie Balance, Allie Brewer, who's out in California. Just a lot of really, really good women who are on this, doing an excellent, excellent job. And so you can go to growandglorify.com. Check it out. You can subscribe. It's $24.99 for the year. That gets 6 issues of the magazine. The next one comes out in May, and it will be over the book of Joshua. And so really excited about that. We're working toward a printed issue of Grow and Glorify. So really cool stuff going on, Corey. Lots happening with Excel right now. A lot of new things, and so just really, really blessed that the Lord has been leading us on this path, and we have so many people involved, including you. And I know we've got things that we've been talking about on our end with new things possibly. So, it's been really exciting to see how the Lord has used this and to be working with a lot of good friends. And so it's been really excellent.
And don't forget all of the books from previous workshops that are available online too, if you're looking for some good study material from 1st, 2nd Thessalonians, 1st, 2nd Peter, Jude, Romans, James.
Yep.
I think.
Yep.
Is all online too. So.
Yep. We got the full set now of Romans, which is excellent. And so the Roman study was really, really good. Just really, really good. And that when you're able to put both of those books together, of course, we added Dan Owen this year to the learning element of things. And when Denny Petrillo and Dan Owen come together, just really paints a great picture of the text. It is very honest.
Yes.
It's a very honest perspective, and that really is what the workshop is about. It's about looking at the text very honestly and exploring the context to try and really understand the meaning of what the letter is of course about. And so we've done that every year, and I think it's a very healthy thing. Even if there's multiple views on something, those are discussed. They're talked about. Here are the different views, and here's what we're seeing within the text. And what we try to do is give you, who attend, you the tools, the information, the understanding of what's going on in the text, so that you can go and study it for yourself to grow and try and figure out. Or study more on that particular issue, whatever it might be. And so I think that's a great benefit to what we're trying to put together with the Excel Still More Bible Workshop. Just looking at the text honestly, no predetermined ideas. Here's what the text says, and we go from there. And so I think it's very healthy for us.
Yep, I think so too.
Well, I know that we have had, there's a lot going on with Excel. There's a lot going on with our ministries and Hydro and Martin. A lot going on with our families. Been doing a little bit of cooking. Not a ton, but a little bit of cooking. Cooked a brisket not too long ago. Did 4 slabs of ribs, some chicken, and what else? There was something else. It was chicken thighs and chicken legs. I did that for a family not too long ago, and I really filled that old smoker up. So, been just a lot going on in life and having a lot of fun with it. It's starting to get warmer. We're getting into storm season here in Oklahoma. The wind is howling. So we're entering that time of year, and baseball is literally every day of my life at this point.
Yeah.
Every day.
We're starting to get the green mist all over everything too, here. So all the pollen in the air. So
yeah,
it's that time of year.
I don't know, maybe we get a little bit, but when, our son and daughter-in-law and granddaughter live in South Carolina. So the first time we went and stayed with them, I walked out and Kristen's car at the time was dark, like a dark gray. And I walked out and it was a yellowish green color. Yeah. I was like, what is that? And they were like, that's pollen. I was like, well, that's a new one on me, because in Oklahoma, we just cover our cars with dust.
Yeah.
not pollen.
Yep.
So very different.
Well, if you look at like Google Maps and put it on the satellite imagery or whatever, you'll notice like about the Oklahoma-Arkansas line, it's very green from there east with all the trees. And then just inside the Oklahoma line heading west, just inside the Oklahoma line from there all the way out, certainly to your part of the world, but all the way really till you get over into the Rocky Mountains and that, it's just brown because it's...
Yeah.
I'm not saying y'all don't have trees, but they're not as plentiful as this part of the world. And that's what, especially that green stuff you're seeing is pine pollen.
Yeah.
And it's just, you can wash your vehicle and park it for the night, get up the next day and go out. And both of my vehicles are white. And so they literally turn green overnight with all of the, and all of that you breathe in, and a lot of sneezing and coughing and that kind of thing this time of year for a lot of people.
Well, we have a lot of sneezing, but it's because of ragweed.
Yeah.
So that's what's going on over here. But, we have a lot of trees in eastern Oklahoma, eastern and southeastern Oklahoma. Really the whole eastern part of the state, kind of that third, if you will. But out this way, there are not. You come about Oklahoma City, and then you keep going west, and western Oklahoma, the Panhandle of Texas, New Mexico, it's all just kind of flowing into
the eastern
nothing.
Half of Colorado.
Yeah. So speaking of Colorado, I was up there last week. Of course, you know that, but in Denver, and I got to go up into the mountains. I took one evening to drive out there and kind of see some of the Rockies, and wasn't really paying attention to where I was. And so I went up on one of these mountains, and I was driving up through there, just kind of seeing the sights, and started coming down. And I look over, and I'm like, hey, there's a football stadium. I'm like, where in the world am I? I was in Boulder, Colorado. And so I was like, that's the University of Colorado. So, y'all know I'm a big football fan, and so that was pretty cool. I know you've probably been up there, but I drove over there and saw the statue right there, and pretty cool looking campus, very different. And so
that's a common refrain for people that go up to Boulder. Very different.
Very different. That's right. Not a whole lot of trees there either. Just some rocks piled on each other.
Yep.
So, but it was good. It was pretty cool. Not as big of a stadium. Of course, I think it's all down, dug into the ground. On one side, it's just right above the street, and on the other side, it's, you see a lot more of it. But
well, that's kind of like the first time I went up to Boise, Idaho, to the Linder Roads lectureship they have up there, and you get out of the airport, you get on the interstate, and you're driving along, and all of a sudden, whoa, what's that? And then you see the blue turf, and you're like, well, that's the one I've seen on ESPN2 at 10 o'clock at night, So,
Boise
State. So.
Man.
The Smurf turf.
I still can't get over that. It's so weird to watch. That's why I don't watch them very much. Oh, speaking of football, we've got April 18th, 19th is our Oklahoma scrimmage called the Red and White game. I think they're going back to what they've done for years. So is Tennessee doing their scrimmage or their deal again?
Yeah, they've got the orange and white game, and I want to think ours is the 11th. Something like that. Maybe,
Gotcha.
Maybe the 11th of April. And, but it's for a long time, maybe since COVID-ish, I guess. It hasn't really been a game as much as it is like a weird set of odd rewarded points for games that I don't know. They used to just take first team offense, second team defense plays the first team defense, second team offense, and it was just a regular game. But now, for whatever reason, and I think part of it is a lot of times by the time we get to the spring practice, we don't have a full team because guys have transferred out, and you're waiting on other transfers to get there or whatever. And
right,
that may be what it is. I don't know, but they don't really do a game as much anymore. But it is. I've never been, and a lot of people have. I actually was invited to go this year, but I'm doing a marriage retreat for a congregation that weekend, so I'm not going to get to go anyway. But one of the cool things, there's a lot of interaction. So if you've got especially children, you know, they can meet the players and coaches and get autographs and do a lot of those kinds of things. So it's a cool environment anyway. So,
well, Oklahoma is going back to the game type of format, I believe. First against first. Because it really didn't work out too well with the new format that everybody was doing. So I think they're going back to it this year. So that'll be good. But like you said, that's where everybody, fans get to go. The kids all get to go up to the players and get the autographs, and they have a lot of fun with that. So I don't know that we're going to get to go. I really want to go, but we'll see. So it's getting time to really start thinking about football. I know it's months away, but in my mind, that really is the only sport. Oh man. Well, outside of that, since we just offended all of our basketball and baseball fans, we have a brand new study that we are going to embark on in season 4 of this Untied podcast. And remember, the Untied idea is simply really focusing on sticking with Bible things, calling Bible things and Bible names by those things and all that kind of stuff. And of course, I butchered that saying, but that's really what we're trying to do. We're not wanting to hold fast to any traditions. We want to just dig into the text and apply it to our lives and live in a very honest way from that. And so we know that there are a lot of podcasts that are out there doing that great thing as well. We're very thankful for all the hard work of all those podcasts and certainly support so many of those. But we're going to get into the Sermon on the Mount this season in Matthew chapter 5 through 7. And so I'm excited about this study that we are going to do together. And we have about, 11 episodes that we're going to really focus on this topic, this section of Scripture, looking at the Beatitudes. Next episode, then we'll be looking at the idea, the concept of salt and light. We're going to look at Jesus's view of Scripture, talking about anger and lust, divorce and vows. We have a whole list as we have broken down the Sermon on the Mount so that we can discuss it with you. So probably the greatest sermon that has ever been preached right here. And to one of my very good friends, he's a part of the work Excelsior More as well, Billy Clayball. There's one summer that both of us were asked to go down and speak at one congregation south of here. And it was over the sermons of the Bible. And I think I had, Joshua. And so I was looking at Joshua 24 and his final words to the nation of Israel. Well, Billy had drawn the Sermon on the Mount. And I was like, bro, that is the hardest one to do. I said, here's what you should do. Just get up there and read it and be done. And he was like, that might be, I don't think that he did, but he certainly thought about it. But you can't improve on this. You can break it down. You can talk about it, but there is no improving this sermon, these words. So, this is really, when you really get down to it, Jesus was a man, pure and simple. In every way, he was a man, but these are true words of God to the people, and it deals with all of life, and we're going to be really blessed by this study. So I'm really excited about this, Corey.
Yep, and if you put it in the bigger context of Matthew, Matthew's trying to convince the Jews that Jesus is the prophesied Messiah. Mm-hmm. So the way he goes about that is Jesus, he's going to have these 5 major speech sections in the book. Remember, Matthew's not chronological. 5 major speech sections with teaching that is going to rock their world. You're talking about being untied from tradition and sticking to what God wants. So he's going to rock their world with the teaching. And then, so to prove that he has the authority to teach that way, he's going to do miracles. And there's going to be miracle sections. Like right as soon as you get done with Matthew 5, 6, and 7 in Sermon on the Mount, you've got chapters 8 and 9, which are both miracle chapters. And then that's going to draw lots of crowds. And when Jesus sees a lot of crowds, then he's going to say, hey, now it's time to teach. But the Sermon on the Mount is, they would expect the Messiah to be able to teach this way because he was going to be a prophet like Moses. And, I think it's funny, you pull up a lot of commentaries or whatnot, and they'll say, well, this sermon is just a conglomeration of maybe it's even a bunch of sermons that Matthew just kind of mashed together into one. There's no rhyme or reason or structure to the sermon in any way. Well, does that sound anything like anything that God has ever done? Just throw a bunch of stuff together? Well, of course not, Right. And it's a great sermon about righteousness, as we'll try to prove as we go along. But, the structure is there, and we'll hopefully be able to show that as we study through it. But it's a sermon that, like you said, you really can't add anything. It shows the limitations, I think, that we have as preachers, that if I go to preach through the Sermon on the Mount, it takes me 12 weeks to do it rather than one standalone sermon. And but it is a sermon about really looking at what had become the standard for righteousness by the way the scribes and Pharisees had been teaching, and trying to get back to Jesus is introducing this new kingdom that he's going to establish. And it's not about what the traditions of men say. It's about what is God's view of righteousness. What is God's standard of righteousness? What is it that really matters? And that's what he's going to get down to.
Yeah. What's really interesting, and we have been, here at Hydra, we've been studying through the Gospel of Mark. And, when you put all of the different gospel accounts together, you really do see a lot of, you get a full picture in a lot of ways of the life of Christ and what was really going on during that time. So, one of the things that I have learned in my studies of Mark 1 is that Jesus in many ways was coming to replace a lot of things. We typically focus ourselves on the idea that Jesus was here to bring a new covenant. And of course, Hebrews explains that idea, that he did away with the law of Moses. The old covenant was abolished, and now we have a new one. And of course, we understand how that works. And Hebrews explains, especially, 8, 9, and 10, really 7, 8, 9, and 10. And so we focus a lot on that idea that he came to replace or give us something new, something better. And John, exemplifies even with the wineskin and all the save the best for last kind of concept. But if you look at it on from a broader perspective, even, Mark would help us to understand that the good news, Mark 1 and verse 1, the good news of Jesus Christ is replacing a statement that people of that day knew. So Mark 1 and verse 1, the beginning of the gospel of Jesus Christ, the Son of God. Just digging into that one verse there's a lot of depth there, because that statement was something that was used for and by the Caesar of the day when they would overtake, win a battle, win a victory, something good happened. They would have a herald that would go out, and they would say, the beginning of the good news of Caesar, whoever that might be. And so this was a replacing of that statement, because there was good news, but it wasn't of Caesar, it was of Jesus Christ. So there was a replacing of sense of the good news that people were hearing. And so, when you look at a broad perspective, the things that Jesus was replacing in the lives of people had to do with the who their allegiance was to. Many struggled with Rome, and we find that all the way throughout Revelation. There's an allegiance to the traditions of the elders. And Mark really, I'm keep going to Mark because I'm really deep in that study. But there's a heavy burden, if you will, or a heavy a heavy tradition, I guess. Let's just say it that way, of things that the Jewish people, the elders, had been growing throughout time. That it started with the laws that Moses had given during the time, when Ezra brought these things back into play, and those had grown and traditions had grown. Well, the words of Jesus was replacing that. So there was a lot of replacing, if you will, on the teachings that were going toward the people. There was a replacing of what the good news actually meant. And now we're looking at the true King, the Son of God. That means King of God, the anointed of God. And these people are looking at Jesus. And when you put, let's just say, Mark 1 with the Sermon on the Mount, it really begins to make sense, because what the people began seeing with Jesus was he teaches with authority, unlike anyone else, because the scribes and the Pharisees, they were only quoting from someone else, but Jesus was teaching with authority. So now we have, the Sermon on the Mount, and this is really, this is the output of that authoritative teaching that is teaching on all aspects of life and Christian living, and it's just really a blessing because our Lord is really giving us a message that will last throughout all time.
Yep. And that's kind of what he, when you look down at verse 17 of Matthew 5, I've not come to abolish the law and prophets, but I came to fulfill them. That's what they weren't doing. The scribes and Pharisees were not. They were adding to and changing and all of those kinds of things. And like, if there's ever been a text that kind of fits the theme of what we've tried to do with Untied in this podcast, this is it, Mm-hmm. So you've got these, at the beginning, the introduction of the sermon, which is basically verse 2 of chapter 5 down to verse 20, where he's going to basically give you, like in 3 through 12, the righteous person in God's sight, and then he's going to talk about the righteous example in man's sight in verses 13 through 16, and then he's going to talk about the law's value in Jesus' sight in verses 17 through 20. And it's not something you add to. It's not something that you take away from. You follow it. So he gives these contrasts at the rest of chapter 5 of, you've heard that it said, but I say unto you. So here's the way that the scribes and the Pharisees have corrupted God's word. Here's the way that I'm telling you that it should be done. And it's an upside down way. If it didn't go according to tradition, it didn't go according to maybe even human logic, then you've got these 6 areas that he talks about in chapter 6 going into chapter 7 and verse 6. And then you've got a conclusion where he's got these different contrasts, but it's all about, are you going to do it God's way or man's way? And that's why when you get to the end of it, as you mentioned a few moments ago, at the end of chapter 7, when he finished these sayings, the people were astonished, is what the ESV says. Mm-hmm. At his teaching, he was teaching as one who had authority, not as their scribes who would quote, Rabbi so-and-so says this, and Rabbi so. It doesn't matter what Rabbi so-and-so. It doesn't matter what Rabbi Garrett Bernithi says. It doesn't matter what Rabbi Corey Sawyer says. What matters is what does God say. And again, that's why I think this fits so well with what we're trying to do with Untied, and will make for a really great study over the next several weeks for us, I think.
Absolutely. And I think that a lot of people struggle with that, with the idea of quoting somebody else. And the scribes and the Pharisees really struggled with that. They, for one reason or another, whatever that was. They've learned from all these different prophets. They've learned from all these different scribes. They've learned from all these different rabbis. They've learned from, Paul's case, he learned from Gamaliel. And so naturally, they're quoting from these other people. So they're quoting from other people, and they're just repeating those other people. Well, it's easy to do. You and I have both done that. And still to this day, within the contextual, state and to try and prove a point, and it's natural to bring things out that other people have said and quote them on it, which is a good thing. I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but when you are making your doctrine the words of other people, that's when we have a big issue.
That's right.
And that's when you have big divisions that happen, because you've got this guy who's saying, this is how I see it, and this guy's saying, this is how I see it. And then you have a Paul and Apollos kind of situation, and people are siding with one side or the other. And next thing you know, you have mass chaos, and there's nothing good that comes out of that. But if we will go off of the words of Scripture, that's when true unity, fellowship, encouragement, edification, all those things can begin to happen at that point. And that's really what we want to try and share, I think, as we go throughout this study of the Sermon on the Mount, and try to bring unity, try to bring focus, and just talk about what Jesus has said. And thinking on Jesus, listening to Jesus, that's what the blessed man does. We've talked about the blessed man before, and that's truly, I think, what we should be doing. Well, Corey, do you have any closing thoughts? I know this was just an introductory episode. We're just kind of getting in and introducing the study, talking about certain things that are going on, but any closing thoughts before we call this one a wrap?
No, just if you want to, you can read Matthew 5-7 and kind of be aware of the big picture, what's going on. You might pay attention to how many times, depending on your translation, he'll say, "Our Father in heaven," or "Our Heavenly Father." 17 times, if I've counted correctly, in the Sermon on the Mount. He's trying to introduce them not only to a different kind of kingdom, but a different kind of perspective on God in all this as well. So we'll get into that in more detail as we go. But that's a good way to start, is just read it and notice that part of the what is repeated throughout the sermon.
Mm-hmm. Well, I will put those in the show notes as a way of reminder that you can go through and do that. And we talked about marking our Bibles before. If you have not heard us talk about that, you can go back. I'll look and see what episode that was. But I really encourage people, the micron markers are great. The 005, the size of that's kind of what I prefer. It's a smaller point on that pen. But erasable, he's showing it right there. The micron markers, you can get them online at Amazon. You can find them at Mardell's. There's a lot of places that sell those. They come in multiple colors. There's the 01. Yeah. So be sure to get your hands on some of those, but also get you some erasable colored pencils. Just the Crayola brand, whatever. They're super cheap. You can get a bunch of them. Yeah, that is a great tool right there. In fact, I do more of my highlighting with the yellow one, like I think that one's yellow, with the yellow one in my Bible, because you can erase it, and that makes it a lot easier to deal with. So hop on and go to your local Walmart or wherever, the dollar store. You can get those colored pencil anywhere. But we're going to do some Bible marking in this. Really dive into the Sermon on the Mount, and hopefully we'll all be able to grow in a lot of ways as we study these words of Jesus. Well, Corey, it's good to be back with you, my friend. I love spending time with you every week, and and being able to study and talk about Scripture with you and just life. We like to have fun on this podcast, talk about all kinds of things. We're just two normal guys that like normal stuff, and we love the Lord, and we love to talk about His Word. So we plan to have a lot of fun this season. We're going to be going for a little bit talking about this text, and so we hope that you'll join us each week. Just as a reminder, these episodes will post each Thursday at noon, and we try to do our best. Sometimes we run into some hiccups or life things that are going on, but we try to do our best to have both the YouTube, Excel TV, and the audio portions of this to come out all at the same time. You can go to the excelstomore.net, go to the Excel Pod page, and you can check out our website there for this podcast, where we'll have the audio version and the YouTube channel video there right together, so you can watch it in either way. So we're grateful that you have joined us today for Season 4, Episode 1. We're looking forward to a great season together, a great study. And as always, we hope that the Lord will continue to bless you in your daily walk with Him. And we look forward to seeing you next week. We hope that you'll like, follow, share, subscribe, help us to grow this podcast. Check out all of the other podcasts that are on the Excel Pod Network. Some really good stuff going on there, and everything else going on with Excels to More ministry there. But until next time, we hope that the Lord will bless you, and we hope and pray that you will stay untied.